They said the old Keaton house was cursed, not because of the ghosts you could see, but because of what you couldn't. Every word you spoke inside, every secret you whispered, the house remembered, and sometimes it whispered them back. It was late in the fall when my friends dared me to spend the night in the Keaton house. By then, the leaves had already turned brittle and brown, and the air carried that sharp bite of winter's approach. The sun was sinking fast when we reached the edge of the property, and the old house loomed ahead like a hollow-eyed giant. Everyone in town knew the stories. Children whispered about it at sleepovers. Parents used its name to scare their kids into behaving. And the bravest of us, we laughed at it like I did. The Keaton house had been abandoned for decades. Its roof sagged, shingles missing like rotted teeth. The windows had long since been boarded over, but the wood had warped and split, leaving dark slivers, like eyes watching, waiting. Thick ivy crawled up the brick walls, veins choking a heart that refused to die. "It's just a house," I had said when Mark and Alicia brought it up. "You guys know it's just some dumb legend, right?" Mark smirked at me, his hands shoved into the pockets of his jacket. "Then prove it." One night inside, alone. Alicia had paled at the idea, her gaze flicking nervously toward the silhouette of the mansion. "Don't stay past midnight," she said, her voice little more than a breath. "That's when it remembers you." I laughed it off, but not entirely. There had been something in her tone that dug under my skin. Still, pride was a stubborn thing. I wasn't about to back down. "Fine," I told them. "I'll stay." They dropped me off at the rusted iron gates, just as the last light of day was bleeding out of the sky. The house stood against the horizon, its shadow stretching long and crooked over the weeds. The crunch of their footsteps faded down the gravel path, leaving me with the rasp of the wind and the looming silence of the Keaton house. I clicked on my flashlight, its beam slicing into the dark. The air was heavy, stale, carrying the damp rot of wood left to die. I hesitated for just a second, long enough to feel doubt prick at me. Then I pushed the front door open. The sound it made was unbearable, a groan so deep it felt alive. Inside, the air was colder, thick with dust. The beam of my flashlight danced across the warped wallpaper, peeling in long strips, across cracked picture frames hanging crooked on the walls, their glass spider-webbed. Each step I took sent a shudder through the floorboards, as though the house disliked my presence. To calm myself, I muttered under my breath, "Just a house, just a stupid house." That's when I heard it. A whisper, so faint I thought at first it was the wind. "Stupid house." My blood froze. It was my voice. The sound had come from the walls themselves, fragile and mocking, drawn out like something savoring the words. I stood there, rigid, my breath shallow, the beam of my flashlight trembling as I swept it across the empty room. Nothing but shadows, nothing but dust. I forced a shaky laugh. Okay, maybe it's just acoustics, old houses echo. That's all. But the moment I said it, the house answered. That's all. And for the first time, I realized this house wasn't empty. The shackles of doubt tightened as I stood frozen in the living room. The house had repeated my words before, but now it had spoken something I hadn't said. "Don't leave me." The whisper slithered through the walls, faint but undeniable. My flashlight flickered, and for the first time, I realized how utterly alone I was. Or at least, I thought I was. I crept deeper into the house, each step groaning louder than it should, as if the floorboards wanted to betray me. The wallpaper here was torn, curling like dead skin, and the air was thicker, damp, like a basement no one had opened in decades. Every time I whispered to myself, every accidental sound, the walls answered. Sometimes they mimicked me perfectly. Other times, they bent my words, reshaping them into something crueler, darker. When I muttered, "This is insane," the house replied a beat later, "Insane, insane, stay with us." My throat tightened. I wanted to believe it was just acoustics, some strange quirk of the architecture. But no matter where I went, the whispers followed. And then I heard footsteps, not mine. They came from upstairs, slow, deliberate, pacing across the rotting floor above me. My heart hammered. Mark and Alicia wouldn't have come back, not this soon. And if they had, they wouldn't be that quiet. I forced myself up the staircase, the wood bending dangerously beneath me. The air grew colder with every step, my breath fogging faintly in my flashlight beam. The hallway stretched long and narrow, doors lining each side like waiting mouths. And from one of them, half open, I heard it again, my voice, clear as day. "It's just a house, just a stupid house." The same words I'd said when I first walked in. Only now, the tone was different, harsher, mocking. I pushed the door open. The room was empty, but the whisper came again from directly behind me. "You can't leave." I spun around. The hallway was dark, my flashlight sputtering, and the house laughed. The laugh wasn't loud. It wasn't even clear. It was the kind of sound you'd miss if you weren't holding your breath. But I was, and I heard it. A dry, broken chuckle that came from the walls themselves. I tightened my grip on the flashlight and forced myself back down the hallway. My footsteps were uneven, shaky. The house seemed to know it. It echoed them back, heavier, like someone was walking right beside me. I stopped. The echo didn't. My pulse hammered in my ears. I ducked into another room, desperate to convince myself this was all in my head. But the whispers changed. They weren't just repeating me anymore. They were saying things I'd never spoken. "Your father was right about you. You're weak. They'll never believe you." I froze. My throat went dry. Those words weren't random. They were mine. Thoughts I'd had years ago. Memories I'd buried so deep, I'd never even said them aloud. And yet, the house knew. "No," I whispered. "That's impossible." The wall shuddered. The peeling wallpaper curled back as if breathing, and from the cracks came another whisper. My own voice, only younger. "Don't tell Mom what we did." I staggered backward, stomach lurching. That was a secret I hadn't told anyone. Not Alicia, not Mark, not even myself in years. The house laughed again, louder this time. I bolted down the hall, nearly tripping over the sagging floorboards. My flashlight beam darted wildly across the walls, each one etched with faint scratch marks, as if hundreds before me had clawed their way out and failed. I reached the stairs, but before I could descend, the whisper came again. Not from the walls, from right next to my ear. "Don't leave me." I spun, but nothing was there. Just shadows stretching across the hallway, long and thin like grasping hands. And for the first time, I realized something terrible. The house wasn't just repeating my words. It was feeding on them. I stumbled down the stairs 2 at a time, desperate to put distance between me and that hallway. The house groaned under my weight, almost disappointed, like it wanted me to stay. In the living room, The air felt heavier. The silence wasn't silence anymore. It was full, pressing, vibrating, like the moment before thunder. Then the whisper came again, not echoing, not mocking. This time, commanding, "Sit." The word dropped like a stone into my chest. My knees nearly buckled before I caught myself. I shook my head, breathing hard. "No, you're not real. You're not. Sit." The sound boomed through the walls, shaking the floorboards. My flashlight flickered violently, then died, plunging me into blackness. My legs buckled on their own. I hit the rotting couch, the cushions collapsing under me with a cloud of dust. My hands trembled, but I couldn't move. It was as if the house itself had reached inside me and tied invisible strings. The whispers coiled closer, wrapping around me from every wall, every corner. "Stay. Forever. We remember you." I clamped my hands over my ears, but it didn't matter. The voice wasn't coming from outside anymore. It was inside me. A memory surfaced, sharp and unbidden. Alicia's pale face, her warning before I entered. "Don't stay past midnight. That's when it remembers you." My stomach twisted. I pulled my phone from my pocket, flicking it awake with shaking hands. The screen glowed weakly. 11:57 p.m. 3 minutes. 3 minutes until midnight. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, filling the house with a chorus of my own voice. My secrets, my fears. And then, cutting through them all, came a new whisper. Not mine, not Alicia's, not Mark's, but someone else. Someone long gone. "Run!" The clock on my phone ticked over. 11:59. The whispers swelled like a storm tide, pressing against my skull, filling every crack in the house. My flashlight was dead, my phone battery slipping, the glow dimming second by second. I forced myself to stand, legs quaking. My whole body screamed to obey the house, to sit, stay, surrender. But that other whisper, the one that wasn't mine, still echoed in my mind. "Run!" I stumbled toward the front door. My fingers clawed at the rusted handle. It wouldn't budge. The wood groaned like it was fused to the frame. Behind me, the walls whispered in unison, layered with 100 voices. "Don't leave me. Stay. It's safer here." The air grew colder, biting into my skin. The pressure in my ears made me dizzy. 11:59 and 40. I smashed my shoulder into the door. Once, twice. The whispers rose to a shriek, not words anymore, but pure sound, static, screaming, memories of things I never wanted to hear again. 11:59, 50. The house laughed, deep and guttural, as though the foundation itself had found joy. 11:59 and 55. I screamed and hurled my phone at the window. The glass cracked, but didn't break. My reflection stared back at me in the spiderweb of fractures. Only it wasn't me. It was smiling. 12th hour, midnight. The whispers stopped. Every sound in the house, gone. Silence pressed against my ears so hard I thought I'd gone deaf. Then the floorboards behind me creaked, slow, heavy. Footsteps, not echoes, not tricks. Someone else was in the house. The footsteps were steady, deliberate, dragging across the floorboards, as if whoever or whatever was walking had all the time in the world. My breath froze in my chest. I turned slowly, flashlight still dead, the faint moonlight leaking through cracks in the boarded windows, the only thing keeping me from drowning in blackness. At the end of the hall, a shadow moved. It wasn't mine. It stood tall, shoulders hunched, its outline shivering as though it were stitched together from fragments of darker night. And then, it spoke. in my voice. Don't leave me. My stomach lurched. I stumbled backward, hitting the door behind me. The figure tilted its head, jerking like a broken puppet, and the whispers started again. Not from the walls this time, but from it, a chorus of every word I'd spoken since entering the house, spilling from its mouth all at once. It's just a house, stupid house, insane. Can't leave, don't leave me, stay, run. The sound layered, tangled, growing louder until the very walls shook. I clamped my hands over my ears, but it didn't help. The voice was inside me, rattling my bones. The shadow stepped closer. Each movement cracked like old wood splintering. Its face leaned into the dim light, and I saw. It was me. My own face, twisted, pale, eyes hollow but wide with hunger. I gasped, choking on air. No, you're not real. The doppelganger's lips curled into a grin. I'm what you leave behind. It lunged. I threw myself sideways, crashing into the broken couch, splinters stabbing into my arm. My body screamed to flee, but the house groaned with every move, boards tightening like ribs closing around me. The figure straightened, turning toward me again, voice splitting into dozens, hundreds, until it wasn't just me anymore. It was everyone the house had ever taken. Stay with us. I scrambled to my feet, limbs trembling, every nerve screaming. The shadow advanced, and the whispers layered into a deafening roar. Every secret, every fear, every mistake I had ever made thrown at me at once. I lunged for the front door. My hands shook as I forced the handle down. It was finally loose. I pushed with everything I had and burst into the night. The cold autumn air hit me like a slap, sharp and unforgiving. I didn't stop to look back, even when the house groaned behind me, its windows rattling as if screaming. Branches tore at my clothes, roots threatened to trip me, but I ran. The forests seemed endless, but I didn't care. The house was behind me, yes, but it wasn't just behind me. I could still feel it watching, whispering, trying to pull me back. I didn't stop until the first hint of sunrise touched the horizon. The Keaton house was gone from view, swallowed by the shadows of trees. I collapsed to the ground, gasping, my chest heaving. My hands were scraped, my clothes torn, but I was alive. Or at least, I thought I was. Because when I tried to speak, my own voice betrayed me. A faint whisper coming from the back of my throat repeated a single phrase I hadn't said aloud yet. Don't leave me. And in that moment, I realized the house wasn't just a place. It was a memory, a hunger, a voice, and it never truly lets go.